What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of the Forgotten Race Review. Today, once again, at the request of Trey Rath, we'll be covering the Vanara, who has appeared all over the place in Pathfinder. We've seen them in Inner Sea Races, the Advanced Race Guide, but most recently in the Splat book, Blood of the Beast. If you have any requests for races you'd like to see covered on this series, as always, throw them in the comments below, and we'll get to them. Don't forget, guys, the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Doomsday Dawn giveaway is live now. For more information, you can follow this card right here. And if you'd like to help us out, as always, our Patreon link is in the description. This episode of the Forgotten Race Review was brought to you in part by the Inn of Planar Crossroads. Guys, as always, thank you for your time, your friendship, your support, everything you do for me. Even if it's just hanging out on Discord after we play Pathfinder, laughing at terrible pictures of our driver's licenses. I wouldn't trade it for the world. And guys, if you like watching live play, we play Rise of the Runelords every Tuesday over at the Inn of Planar Crossroads. And Adam is running his son through a one-on-one. I actually just got done watching the second session before doing this, and it's really good. You don't often get to see 8-year-olds playing Pathfinder. I'm looking forward to the next session when combat finally ensues against things that he's actually supposed to fight and not just, random people on the road. But I digress. If you'd like to watch some Rise of the Runelords, you can follow this card right here. And if you'd like to watch Misadventures in the Southern Colony, you can follow this card right here. Now let's get down to it. So in the Hindu epic, the Ramayana, the Vanara help Rama defeat Ravana. The name Vanara could be derived from Vana, meaning forest, and Nara, meaning man. Over the years, the word Vanara has come to mean monkey, and Vanaras are depicted as monkeys in popular art. Their exact identity is not clear. Unlike the other exotic creatures from the area's mythology, such as the Rakshasas, the Vanaras don't have a precursor in Vedic literature. The Ramayana presents them as humans with reference to things like their speech, their clothing, their funerals, habitations, but describes them as monkey-like with characteristics such as leaping, their hair, their fur, and a tail. In Pathfinder, Vanaras are intelligent, monkey-like humanoids that live in deep, warm forests and lush jungles. A Vanara's body is covered in a thin coat of soft fur, and individuals with chestnut, ivory, and even golden coats are. Despite their fur, Vanaras can grow lengthy hair on their head just as humans can, and both male and female Vanaras take pains to wear elaborate hairstyles for important social functions. All Vanaras have long, prehensile tails and hand-like feet capable of well-articulated movements. They stand slightly shorter and weigh slightly less than a typical human. Very little is known about the Vanaras, who mostly dwell in the lands comprising and surrounding the impossible kingdoms of Vudra in southeastern Kazmaron. Vanaras are well respected for their wisdom, but yet display a carefree attitude that humans often scoff at as being naive and irresponsible. Vanaras are constantly on the search for unexpected opportunities and experiences, and thus they have migrated in small numbers to both the Inner Sea region and Tian Sha, where they form small but vibrant communities in the Mwangi Expanse and in the mountains surrounding Goka. And really, that's all of the lore we have on the Vanara in Pathfinder. This is one of the many reasons why moving forward, I really hope that Paizo gives us a Kazmaron world guide, an Arcadia world guide, even a Tian Sha world guide that's a little more than the Dragon Empire's primer, because really we only have about a page of lore on all the lands there, whereas the Inner Sea region you get 2 or 3 pages, plus all the splat books, plus all the adventure paths. And when people complain about all of the bloat in Pathfinder, I find it really ironic, though I know they're talking about the feats, that we miss out on a lot of things in Galarion. Whole continents, whole religions, whole people, whole ethnicities from the real world that can be tied into our fantasy game that, again, we've barely scratched the surface of. I'm really hoping in Pathfinder 2.0 these races get more content. Fingers crossed for sure, and hey, if we get it, we'll cover it right here. But for now, let's dive into the stats, shall we? A Vanara gets a +2 to its dexterity and a +2 to its wisdom, but a -2 to its charisma. These guys are agile and insightful, but they're a little mischievous. Vanaras are humanoids with the Vanara subtype. They're medium creatures with a base speed of 30 feet and a climb speed of 20 feet. They begin play speaking Common and Vanaran. Vanaras with high intelligence can choose from a list of languages, but we're going to go back on this rant again. I don't see any reason why the Vanara who was raised by orcs, can't speak orc. The Vanara, who was raised in Minkai, can speak Tian Min. And truly, there's only a couple of races in Pathfinder that can either choose any language or regional dialects specifically. And that's really why, unless in my setting there's something specific going on, this part of a racial stat block just gets axed. Vanaras have a +2 racial bonus on acrobatics and stealth checks. Also, they have a +8 on their climb checks because they have a climb speed. Vanaras have low light vision, and they have one of my favorite racial traits, one of the most powerful in my opinion, prehensile tail. They can't wield weapons with their tail, but the tail allows them to retrieve a small stowed object carried on their person as a swift action. Think something like a potion, maybe a different kind of arrow, or maybe this can give you rapid reload for crossbows, or help you not provoke attacks of opportunity for using a ranged weapon in melee if you have a really nice GM. Regardless, super powerful. Now, we don't usually talk about the alternate racial traits, but I feel kind of bad that there's not a lot of information for Vanara as far as the lore goes. So we're gonna grab 3 of their racial traits really fast because all 3 of them are really interesting and really good. First off, we can trade away our prehensile tail for Risky Troublemaker. Risky Troublemaker allows you to roll twice on use magic device checks. If you do, you take the higher result unless either die roll is a natural 1, in which case the check automatically fails, in which case, honestly, that wand probably blows up in your face. Strictly speaking, this is worse than a Vanara Shaman or a Vanara Witch with the Fortune Hex, but if your class uses Use Magic Device a whole lot, while you will still natural 1, having the ability to not natural 2, but get a natural like 13 or 14 instead, super powerful. The second one we're going to talk about is called Tree Stranger. Some Vanaras have spent their lives living among humans instead of their regional treetop homes in Vudra. These Vanara treat all knowledge skills as class skills, but lose their climb speed. Now, a climb speed is really powerful. I've talked about Rise of the Rune Lords once this video. There was definitely a part at the end of a book, and I'm not going to spoil anything, but it was down to a lot of climb checks and no one had a climb speed. So people are climbing on people's backs, ropes are getting cut, people are falling, super spooky. The Vanara can just go to the wall and start making his way up there. But if you think you're going to have a fly speed pretty easily, or maybe if it's like an aquatic game, getting all knowledge skills as class skills is super good because that +3 bonus for putting ranks in a class skill can help you identify stuff, can help you answer a lot of questions that are really difficult. If nothing else, you are nearly almost always guaranteed to have something to do when combat's not happening if you have all of the knowledge checks. And though I think I would keep my climb speed most of the time, this is still pretty good, don't miss it. The last racial trait we'll talk about comes from Blood of the Beast, and it is called Change Size. One Vanara in every 500, I'm sure that's an exact number, is gifted with limited shapeshifting ability. They can adjust their size at will, gaining the Change Shape ability and the Shapeshifter subtype. Instead of being able to change their appearance, think like a kitsune going from fox to human, or a skinwalker with their beast form and their human form, they can use their change shape to reduce their size category to small. When they do so, their ability scores don't change, only their size and thus their weapon damage, normal size penalties, and bonus to AC and CMD, and on attack and skill rolls. Changing size or returning to their true size is a full round action. This alters their type and it replaces nimble. This means we can go to size category small but not hit our strength. We're essentially just able to squeeze in places a little easier. We're also able to ride things in dungeons a little better if we want to play a Vanara Cavalier or a Vanara Paladin. If nothing else, that's still just a flat +1 to hit, which is nothing to shake a stick at. And if you're playing something that doesn't roll acrobatics or playing something that doesn't want to sneak around, yeah, there's no reason you don't want to shrink to size category small, and thus no reason you wouldn't take this alternate racial trait. Now, I have never GM'd for a Vanara, I have never played a Vanara, I've known that Vanaras have existed, but they've never really crossed my mind other than I knew that they had prehensile tail, and thus you could drink potions a little faster, meaning they make pretty good alchemists, meaning they are great candidates for my favorite barbarian build, vital striking for all the damage, and if you'd like to check that out, you can follow this card right here to a very old video, way back when I was just starting this YouTube thing. But that doesn't make them any less interesting to me. If for no other reason, again, climb speeds are really powerful in a lot of games. unless you think you'll have a fly speed or you're just hanging out on the plane of air or gonna be hanging out at sea forever. There's gonna be a wall, there's going to be a castle you need to get into. If nothing else, a Vanara who's using something like bombs or javelins can just climb up on the ceiling of the dungeon and throw down into melee. Really, to go even farther, come to think of it, if your Vanara in your aquatic campaign isn't good at swimming and you fall into the water, you can just climb right back up your boat or climb up into the crow's nest without having to worry about who's on the rigging. Just grab the mast and start making your way up there. Most likely, a Vanara NPC is one of the most rare things you're going to see in a campaign if it's set on Galarion. These guys come from Vudra, so in the Inner Sea, again, you might see them in the Mwangi Expanse, you might see them in Jalmaray, but running into a Vanara in something like Cheliax or Taldor or Sirion or the lands of the Lenorm Kings or something crazy like that is really, really rare. NPCs might react to this NPC and really to your player who's playing a Vanara as if they're a druid who's stuck in wild shape, or maybe like some weird were-gorilla, which in an area where lots of druids live, maybe they follow the Green Faith. We talked about the Green Faith a while ago, by the way. If you'd like to learn more, follow this card here. They might be received really well if it's a more civilized place where druids are run out, or where nature has been pushed back in the name of civilization, and thus people are worried about militant druids coming back to restore the balance. People might attack a Vanara on sight just for assuming that they might be a druid. It also might be a good way to tie in the elusive Orang Pendak. We talked about those guys a long time ago. I believe I'm out of cards for this video, but you can find them earlier in the Forgotten Race review. Though there's no official tie in the lore between Vanara and Orang Pendak, they come from a somewhat similar part of the real world, and so one might draw that conclusion that they might live together. If for no other reason than the other small-minded, perhaps even racist humanoids might see these guys and just kind of lump them together. If nothing else, hey, make a faction of Vanara gunslingers, spread a plague throughout the Inner Sea region, we'll have ourselves a fantasy Planet of the Apes. But I think I've gone on enough. What do you guys think about the Vanara? Have you ever played one or used one in your campaigns? Or even better, have you ever GM'd or adventured in the impossible kingdom of Vudra? If so, how did it go? What kind of monsters did you use? Tell me all about it, and maybe we'll just build up the Vudra World Guide together. As always, be sure to like and subscribe for more videos. The next episode of the Forgotten Race review, where we cover the Wayang, drops next Monday.